Today we're going to talk about income. That is the key, one of the keys to getting that mortgage loan secured. But what if you don't have enough? Maybe you want to pick up a second job. How long do you need to be working it? What are some of the factors that come into play when they're looking at an income number on your mortgage application? We'll break it all down next with Bill Litton. Well, glad to have you on the Smart Mortgage Show. I am Ben George with Bill Litton at Cross Country Mortgage. He is the regional president, the office there in Chaddsford, Pennsylvania. Bill, income, one of the key factors, right, that go in an application. I know you're looking at this number. One of the first things you look at, right, when you're looking at an application?
I personally think of all of the pillars of getting a mortgage, which, income, credit, down money, and then the collateral itself. I think that income's probably the most important.
Good. Well, we got a question today I want to run by you, and you'll get into the question itself to answer that, but I also want to kind of a bigger discussion on income and kind of preparing yourself if you are looking to buy a home. Kind of what are some tips to kind of put you in the best position to secure that loan. So this situation, Bill, someone's been working in their job for about 3 years now, and they want to increase their income to purchase a little bit bigger home than maybe what they can afford right now. So they picked up a second job doing some side hustles, but they want to know, how long do you have to be working that second job and getting that income from the second job to actually be able to use that and apply it to your mortgage application?
Yeah, common misperception here, because a lot of people say, hey, I've got 2 jobs. And I'm like, okay, that's great. How long have you had the jobs? Because that is it. You have to have both jobs simultaneously with no breaks for the most recent 2-year period, right? So if you've had an intermittent second job, or if or a year into the second job, or you're 2 years into the second job, but you had a break in your main job, none of that works. And the reason is because the lender wants to make sure, hey, carrying 2 jobs is not easy. If you're qualifying on having 2 jobs, are you going to be able to do that for the long term? This is a 30-year debt. Have you demonstrated that you can maintain both jobs over the longer term?
I hadn't really thought about that. 2 years seems like a lot. I mean, and that can even maybe, I guess, turn somebody off in terms of either wanting to chase that side hustle for their upcoming, I guess, mortgage payment or mortgage that they're trying to secure. So I guess, what are some things you can do then if you're in that position and, have just started this? Maybe you have the intention to kind of be doing these 2 things, these dual jobs, dual income for a long time, but you're still early in that process. What are some things you can do then to put yourself in a better position?
Well, Ben, I think you hit on the key thing there, right? Because you said, maybe it would deter somebody. And that's kind of what they want to do, right? They want to deter the person who's just trying to get the job really quick to qualify. Because we know if they get the job quick to qualify and then they quit the job, they're not going to be able to make the payment, or it's going to make it really tough to make the payment, which puts the lender in a bad position. They don't want to be in that position, right? So to your point, it's really, if you're trying to qualify, you need the 2 years, but I think you also need to be kind of married to the idea that you're going to continue to have 2 jobs to make the payments. Unless there's something that we don't know about, like money that you're making under the table, or a spouse that's not on the loan, or, some major change to your financial situation in the next 12 months. So those things could certainly make it so that you could, after you've proven 2 years for both jobs, you qualify, but then you get rid of the second job. If there's something not on the loan application and it's just not in our purview, then you could still obviously make the payment. But the second part of your question there was, what else can we do? And the interesting thing this is why we love to kind of geek out on the numbers is, if you needed to make an extra $1,000 per month in order to qualify, and remember, in other shows, we've said that the max debt ratio is roughly 50% of your income, then technically you would get the same benefit by removing $500 a month in debts. So we can either increase the income or lower the debt ratio, remove some debts, pay off some debts. And maybe you have a car loan that, hey, I'm $1,000 off from qualifying. I have a car loan that's $500 a month and I've got 6 payments left on it. Well, pay off the car loan and that would be removed from your debt to income ratio. And now that would be the same thing as having that second job that brings in an extra $1,000 a month.
That's a good point. So debt, another area to focus on if income can't be that. You said 2 years for the second job, Bill. And remind me, you probably have talked about this before, and I probably should know it. But what about your primary job? If let's say you maybe we're out of work for a few months, let's say, and you got back in and started a new job, and you've been working for 6 months, is that enough to apply, or does that same 2-year threshold take into account your first job?
Yeah. So if it's your main job and you're not trying to use 2 jobs, then it depends on how long you're out. So if you're out for less than 6 months, and let's say your job's just a salaried position, you could be back to work for a week and get a mortgage, right? But let's say that your income's highly variable. I mean, you're 1 week you work 30 hours, the next week you work 60 hours, and it's always like that. And you're out of work for more than 6 months. And now let's say you go into your new job is not in the same field that you used to work in. Probably need a year to be back to work in order for that income to be counted. So great question, because this is all the stuff we're going to dig in before you go under contract and spend monies on home inspections, appraisals, deposits. We don't want you to lose any money. So we're going to make sure your income, no matter how many jobs you've jumped to, that we either say, hey, you can do this now, or you need to wait until you've been back a year, or whatever the scenario calls for.
Yeah, another good reason why you want to have a strong lending team on your side, right, Bill? Because I'm assuming there might be some people that say, yeah, come on in. Don't worry about, you've had that job for a few months. We can figure out a way to make it work to get you in the home you want, rather than being straightforward, being honest, being direct about here's where you stand, here's what you need to do, here's what you can't afford, that sort of thing. It all comes down to who's on your team. That
is, I think the more common, because most people go to the doctor hundreds of times in their life, right? So it's something you're familiar with, or the dentist. But mortgages, since you only do it 5 to 10 times in a lifetime, you're not as familiar with it. So some people really think like, oh, I'll just go to anybody and just get the mortgage. But it's vastly different experience depending on going to a really great lender and a not so good lender. So you want to make sure you're partnered with the right lending team, because honestly, it's like, going to the wrong doctor, right? And flatlining on the table because they didn't know what they were doing. And we use such a dramatic example because we're talking about hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. Largest investment you're going to make in your life, largest debt encumbrance. It's going to shape the direction of your financial future. You want to work with a high quality team.
Well, Cross Country Mortgage does fit the bill. If you have questions, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Ask a question there specifically. Maybe we'll feature on a future video. But 484-352-4151 is the number for Cross Country. And you can log on as well, smartmortgageshow.com. See all of our content there on the website. Good question. Income is one of the key pillars. You want to make sure you get it right. And this was good information, Bill. I know I learned a little bit about that second income. For anyone that's in the same boat, this is good information to have, but glad to know it now rather than when you're starting to buy that home. So appreciate it, Bill. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Another video coming soon.
Thanks so much.
This program is for informational purposes only. Please consult a qualified professional before taking any action. Bill Litton is a loan advisor and regional president with Cross Country Mortgage, NMLS number 147060.